Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Camppatton Family Compound. It is time for Friday Night on the Homestead. And tonight's topic, what livestock is best for you? And by livestock, we're talking everything from little quail up to one of these guys, or even bigger. Alrighty. Okay, I'm just getting a ton of ads over here now popping up on the YouTube version. I got StreamYard in front of me, got YouTube over here, so I can comment to you guys on YouTube. And dang. All right. Okay, so let's say hi to everybody. I see more people rolling this. I'm just going to say hi rather than typing it in. So first in was Walt Rogers, then Troop 1351, Phelan Clan Wolf, Tibor, Mother Earth Garden Club, Wayne Hunter, Geeky Gardens, Susie QNC, North Carolina, and Rebel Canner's here. Hey, Tammy. Diana 2 is here. Tammy Harder. So we got both Tammys in here tonight, and Kaylin Strain is here. And Shady Hill Homestead's here too. Our Heidi. And I froze there. So, and for those that are lurking, lurking's fine. Like the banner says below, just, if you can, just say lurking, type it in, lurking, and hit the thumbs up. All right. And let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link here because there may be one or two want to come up here of the usual suspects. All righty. And yeah, this one tonight is, in tonight's, I understand that a lot of you don't have land to put a lot of animals on. When I was growing up, my parents had 1.25 acres, and we still had 3 horses, some pigs, a whole mess of chickens. My big sister had a shed full of pigeons that she was raising pigeons. We had goats on there, and yeah, so we made do, cramped spaces, rotated animals around and everything else. But yeah, it was fun. It was interesting growing up. Oh, Kaylin had an agricultural fungicide ad. Are they spraying it on Congress? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm poking fun, folks. I poke fun. All righty. So there's the link there. And I know if Mark shows up, he's going to want to come up here. Let me go ahead and pin that to the top so it doesn't get lost. And I should have put in there for, yeah, anyways. So anyways, with that in mind, I'm going to, before I drop into the slides and stuff, start talking more things, I'm going to talk a little bit about small stuff. I know there are several channels that raise quail. A couple of them are in apartments. Others are in just a regular housing tract. Or I should say a modern housing tract. So it's, they're lucky if they got 1/5 of an acre. And I know some others that they have a swimming pool, or they had a swimming pool. They now have a fish pond in their backyard, and they raise their own tilapia or other type fish that they can raise in there. And then on the top, they do they pump the water out, and they do hydroponics. So they're taking the fish poopy water, pumping it out, feeding the lettuces and the watercress and everything else, and then putting the fresh water back into the pond. Yep. There's one from Kaylin about it too. So you got quail. Some have fish. A lot of people have chickens. The government used to tell you to have chickens. Back during World War II, it's like, put in a garden, have some chickens. And you have chickens for eggs, and you have chickens for meat. So you do that. And here comes Tammy. There we go.
I'll see how long I can last. I have bronchial pneumonia. I'm
Oh,
on 2 antibiotics. I have been, yeah.
okay, wait a minute. My livestock is 2 dogs, 2 cats. My nephew, my cousin's son, so he's my nephew. He's got three cats down there in Texas. Tibor says an ad for a train video came up, a video game. So when you're talking livestock, there's also some people that are found out they're residential, so they're not allowed to have chickens and other stuff. But guess what? They can have bees.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember who it was, but they had like 3 hives in their backyard. They're in the city, and the bees go around and everything else. And they're in suburbia, so long as they're not spraying Roundup out there on the dandelions and stuff. The bees are all because more people are putting in more flowering plants to make the property look better, and there's some are putting in passion fruit and other vining things because it looks nice and everything else. Lots of flowers, and so the bees are going around, pollinating, doing their business, and making. I'm sorry, I just read Kaylin Strain's comment. I make that maybe a typo, but since it's all in caps, I think she's sticking with the topic of ducks.
Thanks, Kaylin.
Not allowed to have chickens, but rabbits are classified as pets.
Now, my neighbor got around the no chicken rule in town because they were his emotional support chickens. And he could have 3 emotional support chickens per person in his household. So there is some ways around that.
Yeah, I got the emotional support chickens. Then my wife started acting crazy, and I went down there and got 3 more for her.
Yeah. Yep.
And then the kids felt left out and picked on, and they started crying. So we had to get them chickens too.
That's right. I mean, as long as you don't get an emotional support rooster, I'm all behind you having emotional support chickens in town.
Or an emotional support, not potbelly. Potbellies are mean, but a little pig,
Yeah, the potbellies, they're pets.
But there's other than potbellies, ones that you can actually.
Yeah, they're pets everywhere except the country they came from, which is Vietnam, where they wanted them small to put them in canoes so they could transport their dinner easily.
Yeah. All righty. Ad for Uber Eats. Dang it. I got into the system and I've been putting on I've been doing it over on Grain Man Prep, and I found here where I found where I can go in and put down minimal ads to not interrupt viewers, the viewers and stuff. And I don't know, they just keep getting ads here. On your side, I crochet. Sonia West just came in on your side there, Tammy.
Thank you. Yeah, I figured I'd stream it that way too, since it's good content.
So, if you're thinking about what you can and can't do, there are several things to take care of, and I didn't go that far, but I want to show 2 things here first. Let's go with this one. So the thumbnail. So we got bees up here, then we got horsies. Oh, I love horsies. I grew up with horsies. Oh, sorry. Got some sheep. We got goats. We got chickens in the middle. We got alpacas. I so wanted to raise alpacas here. I found out they cannot eat morning glory at all. It's very poisonous to them. Yes. And morning glory grows around here like lawns.
Yeah.
Then we got pigs, and we got cows, and then we got rabbits.
So on that list, you know which one is the most high maintenance?
Horses?
Nope.
Well, I was going to
Those
say,
bees up there, are the most high maintenance of all of those animals right there.
yeah. Well, we got a guy. All right, the property across the street where my daughter's at. If you go out in the field, head east, you go kind of southeast from the corner. The guy that has the property over there is a beekeeper, and he's always bringing he has a big truck with a crane on. He picks the whole pallets of bees of hives off, and then they move them around. And it turns out he also he has a back section to his that faces the other street the block over, and he has a horse out there, and he has a whole bunch of hives he keeps over there. When the fields are done, he brings them all home and keeps them there, so he can take care of them during the winter and stuff. But yeah. Oh, Mother Earth Sandy says we are allowed 4 hens, but she have to build a coop. Yeah. Chicken feed is coming outrageously expensive. I got a solution to that.
I do too.
I found that someone basically I got a reel on it from somebody, and I'll show that here in a little bit. So of these here, for what you get from them, I think horses are the for me, horses would not be that high maintenance because I love horses. I love going out there. I don't mind cleaning the stalls. I don't mind feeding them. I don't mind curry combing them down. I don't mind shoeing them. But I grew up doing that. So to me, it's like, sheep, I'm a little more concerned about. Of course, we just hire, I know there are people in the area that have sheep and they don't do the shearing. They hire someone to come in and shear the sheep, and for a portion of the stuff, and they shear it, take care of it, weigh it out, take it over, and do the wheel dealing to it, and then they get their portion and you get a portion of it. So, but let's go to the next one here. So alpacas, bees, birds, all birds that are other than normal ones listed below, chickens, cows, ducks, geese, goats, horses, pigs, quail, rabbit, sheep. Did I do that totally in alphabetical order? I think I got it all in alphabetical order. Other birds would be
turkeys,
peacocks,
pheasants,
yeah, and I think
geese.
Geese. I think it's pheasants though. So, all right, I'm trying to remember what the feather they use in a lot of high end, hats and stuff.
It could be pheasants or could be peacocks. Either one. You could sell either.
Yeah. I think it's pheasants. That there's someone here on YouTube, I can't remember who it is now, went and that's what they started raising. They made more money from the pheasant than they did from their normal job.
Yeah.
Selling the feathers, not the birds, just the feathers.
You can also sell them for fly tying. People will pay a lot of money for good quality feathers for fly tying.
All right. We raise our farm of chickens. We had pigs when growing up. Yeah. Grouse.
If you add llamas to that list, or unless you count them in the alpacas, I've had everything on that list.
Yeah. Grouse. Yeah. I haven't heard many people were raising grouse, but my sister used to, when they would go deer hunting up in northern Utah, going up towards Park City. Her in-laws had a cabin up there. If they didn't catch anything and they were coming back, they didn't get a deer and they're coming back, she was notorious for decapitating grouse with a 7mm Mauser.
We used to have a ton of them here, and the DNR hunted them out and traded them to Canada for the elk we now have. So we don't have the grouse around here. Like when I was a kid, you could go out when you were out hunting deer or whatever, if it was season, you could take a couple grouse, but now you can. I've seen one since they hunted them out. They hunted and trapped them so they could trade them, and we lost a lot of the population.
And Rudy's in here on your side.
Hi.
All right. There was a question. All right. Question. Here we go. Recommend a good animal husbandry book.
Yes. Story
Good.
Publishing. Story Publishing has one for every single animal.
Story Publishing.
Yep. Anything by Story Publishing. They have one, and it will be like, the handbook of goats or the handbook of chickens.
All right.
And they have one for every single animal.
Cool. So
I don't have one for everything, like all inclusive, but I have collected quite a bit of the ones from Story.
Yeah, Story Publishing. Publish your own books. But I came to splines. Well, where's Story Publishing? Interesting. I typed in Story Pub and it's publishing, and so I clicked on it. It's giving me everybody else's sponsor before you get down to the.
Look up How to Raise Rabbits.
Yeah. Oh, finally, Story Publishing they're on Facebook as well. Yep. Story Bird, Story Jumper.
And they all start. They're all like
Amazon. Story Publishing books. Not Amazon.
But it'll be like How to Raise Rabbits, How to Raise Goats.
So that brings us over here. Well, a wrong type of Story Publishing. Okay.
Yeah. No. I think you need another R.
Yeah. Let me do it this way here. STO.
Or if you type in like How to Raise Rabbits, it'll probably be the most.
How to
and they go through the animal, all of its care, and things for medications. And
okay, it is one R, and here it is. Here, How to Raise Rabbits.
The next one down is the one I have right there, the gray one. That's by Story.
Stories with an E in it. That's why.
Yeah.
Stories Guide to Raising Rabbits. So let me go up here and change this to E and see if it'll bring anything else up here. So, there's different ones. How to Raise Rabbits. How to raise. I'll just put How to Raise Animals and see what comes up. Stories Guide to Raising Ducks. Doodles, Raising Sheep. There's the one for raising sheep. Stories Guide for Raising Turkeys.
Yep, it'll go through every single farm animal, livestock. There'll be one for each one. I've got a whole collection.
Yeah. And this is a general guide for
poultry.
However, part of Stories Guide to Raising, 17 books. Let's click on that. Horses, honeybees, goats. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
And so I'm just going to drop this search in the chat so you guys can open up in a separate tab and go perusing. But yeah, poultry, livestock, miniature livestock too. So you got your miniature goats or your fainting goats. Chickens, dairy goats. My wife was talking about dairy goats when I was talking to her yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. So
dairy goats are interesting. There's so many different ones.
Yeah.
I have had Sonnets. I've raised Alpines. I've raised Nubians. One more. I had another kind.
Yeah. Oh, here's the interesting thing on these. You got your paperback and you got your Kindle version.
Yeah. Yep.
And the Kindle version, I'm looking at it, you got a $4 difference on the dairy goats, $3 $5 difference on the honeybees, $3 difference on the rabbits. So it depends, you know. So the cattle and the goats have the biggest spread on it so far. So only $2 difference for the actually less than $2, $1, less than $1.50 difference for the chickens. That's because it's so popular.
Yeah.
A dollar on turkeys different. So yeah.
I get them. I've got them all on paperback.
Yeah.
The only one that I don't have is cattle because I have not raised cattle on my own.
Yeah.
I raised a cow, but I did not raise cattle plural.
Now this is raising beef cattle.
Yeah.
Where's there one for raising a dairy cow?
They probably have one.
That's what we had 2 dairy cows, and when the if they dropped a male calf, all right, out to the field, out to the field it went. When it got 2 years old, it was beef.
Yep.
Much to my mom's chagrin, my brother and I named him totally different than what she did. She goes, "Oh, we're gonna call this one Fog because it was really foggy. We could hardly see out there when it was born. We're gonna name this one Mud because it was out in the mud." He goes, "No, that was a cesspool. So that one's cesspool, and the first one is skillet." My mom did not like that, but hey, they both wound up in the skillet. What can I say?
My daughter had a hard time. She knew we were going to eat. We had pigs one time. I raised 6 pigs, and they knew they were going to be dinner. And she's like, "I want to name them." I'm like, "The only thing you can name them are ham, bacon." I said, "They have to be food names because you need to understand, even though you name it, it's still food."
Yes. So you make sure that ham steak, bacon, pork loin, pork chop.
Pork chop. Yep. You can call him Porky if you want, but he's still going to be bacon.
Yeah. And his last words are going to be, "That's all, folks."
Yeah. I will never raise pigs again.
Yeah.
Well, maybe a potbelly pig. I did not mind having the potbelly pig in the house, but I don't want to raise pigs outside.
Yeah. Yeah. The guy I bought the property from was raising pigs, and when I went to clean it out after they moved, it was like, you know, he'd clean it out, he'd dump it and clean it out. Yeah, but I went in there, got a chance to clean it. Don't worry, I'll use my tractor. I'll put it over on the guard. Oh man, I got down after the first couple inches on the bottom 4. Whoa, man! Yeah. I mean, I've worked live sewer in construction. Not
pig's
a problem.
A whole other level.
This was way beyond. This was oh man, my eyes teared up.
I just don't like how they get out all the time. I'd rather have a goat. I'd rather have a goat than a pig. Well, I put razor wire down and those things went under it.
These things never got out because he poured concrete for their pen. And then it had boards going down onto the concrete, actually below the concrete. Because lost picture. The concrete was they had it down. He poured the concrete. The concrete came up 2 inches higher than the boards. All right, she's all right. Still there. Lost sound. Lost sound, Tammy. Yeah, she's got to log back in or something. She got a phone call or something, and it kicks her, you know, off. And then when she comes back in, half the time she loses the sound. So with all the stuff you can raise, you need to figure on several things you need to think about. Cost to feed. Their poop. Their noise. Their neediness. CB just came in. Hugo Homestead is in the house. And so I'm just waiting for it to pop up down below here. So she's trying to work back in. Probably got a phone call again. Stop calling me. There she comes.
Becca called me and booted me out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. And so one of the things, let me go on to the page here, see if I can bring it up here. I only got 13 pages of at 12 font of reels and videos on stuff. So I got to find the one here for. Does that come up? One result. 8-year-old. No, that's the one for the kids. Chicken CHICKEN. Maybe I got 5 results. Okay. Chicken food, not feed, food. Okay. Make sure it's, yeah. So let me pull this one here up.
I have a video on making your own chicken feed.
This one I thought was kind of neat because I want to make sure it is over here that it is the right one before I share it. Yes, it is. Okay. So I'm going to drop the link down below in the chat. There's the link. And this is what it is. I'm not going to play the sound for you, but it has the words on it. So inexpensive method for feeding your chickens. And they got these little trays. And,
oh, yeah, sprouting.
Yeah. And so basically, yeah, they got the little type that's specifically made for sprouting here, and boom, and they wait until it gets big, and you can see the different. Each one is done at a different time, so you have rotating feedstock.
I have my grandma's recipe for mixing your own feed, where you ground feed, so it'd be just like you buy at the store.
Yeah.
Back when people were saying that they were having laying problems because they didn't, when they thought it was a feed, they thought it was a feed issue. I posted my grandma's recipe for chicken feed. So if you look back a couple years, it's in my
So the top one here you can see is higher, is the tallest, and the bottom one is just starting out, growing up there. But yeah, you just rotate through it, and depending on how many chickens you have.
If you don't have many, that'd be fine.
Yeah. And they were talking about the volume of the seeds. Once you harvest this like this, it feeds like 10 times as much as just the seed itself.
And even just soaking your chicken feed makes it go double.
Yeah. And if you soak it for like several days and it starts to ferment, it does like triple. And it has all the what's the word I'm looking for? Like yogurt has in it, the probiotics. And all that stuff for the chickens, and it just. Hey, Lewis.
Yep.
And so
you can ferment it.
Yeah, doing the fermenting is just, my daughter did it for a while, and her Cornish cross grew faster than they were expecting.
And you can even use, like, if you have extra milk or milk that's going bad, that's not good for you yet anymore, you don't want to drink it, you can dump that in their feed and use that to soak feed overnight and get extra protein. You can also feed chickens a lot of your leftovers.
Yeah.
So, you can get more protein by feeding them.
What was that, Lewis?
Breadcrumbs too.
Yeah, breadcrumbs. My daughter across the street has this big bowl that she had a smaller one. She got a bigger bowl that had a lid on it for obvious reasons here in a moment. And all the banana peels that get cut up in there, all of the anything left over from dinners and stuff that go in there. Her husband, well, we can't put meat in there. I go, baloney. Those are little raptors. Yeah. The reason why they leave some of the other stuff out, unless they're really starving, they leave some of the greenery stuff to attract the bugs, and then they go after the bugs.
Yeah. In the war times, when things were really tight, people would take and put holes in 5-gallon buckets. Spoiler alert, this is really gross. If you're eating, I apologize. They would then go out along the roads and get roadkill and put the roadkill in the bucket. Don't not feed it. If it was fresh, they'd feed it to their chickens. But if it was a little too old to feed to the chickens, they would put it in the bucket so that it would attract flies and make larvae. And the larvae would fall out the holes in the bucket, and the chickens would eat the larvae.
Yeah.
And they would do that. They would use roadkill to do it, like during World War I and World War II.
Shoot, I know I've shared it on other live streams. There's a video out there, and basically they took the buckets on the side, and they were harvesting pest flies and bugs, like the Japanese beetle and stuff. But the Japanese beetles, they use the traps. They just put in the bucket, and I'm not sure what they do. They poured hot water on it to kill the beetles and quickly dumped it out in the chicken pen or stunned the beetles, and then the chickens just eating those.
They're not going to eat those beetles unless they are absolutely starving, because they taste horrible. Even the chickens won't eat them. So,
right. But they were raised. They were farming larvae from flies and something else.
Mealworms. You can take some cornmeal and grow a ton of mealworms. When I was doing the quail, I actually had a setup where I had one drawer that was the little quail with lots of holes for ventilation, and another drawer in there I had mealworm farm, and I was feeding my quail mealworms. But
if you leave a piece of raw pork in a 5-gallon bucket for however long, I can't remember how long, but it'll start turning into maggots. And if you got holes in it, the maggots will drop down.
Yeah.
That's what this guy did with his thing. He had it set up so the bucket was on its side, so we could take it off and toss more food or whatever in there, and the holes were on the bottom and they'd fall out, and then he had some corrugated roofing material set up so that the maggots would hit, slide down, fall into a gutter that was at an angle, and they go into a bucket, and then he would just take swap buckets and take that bucket in and to the chickens.
It seems like a lot more work than just having a tripod with a bucket full of holes and putting
basically
meat right in the pen in the bucket above the chickens.
Yeah, he was growing a lot. I mean, he was giving, had a lot of chickens, and he was just these 3 buckets he had were producing a lot of.
You're going to have a lot of flies hatching that are going to make it even nasty.
Yeah. But then again, you have with the flies, you also have the fly traps up there that trap all the flies and drown them, and then you just dump that out in there, and the chickens will eat those too. My daughter's turkey thought that was a chicken because there were 2 turkeys and about 40 chickens, and they were got at the same time. So the turkeys grew up with the chickens, and they thought they were chickens, and they did everything the chickens did, including trying to eat the basil plants that were planted too close to the run, the chicken run. But I got a video of that. We're planting all the basil stuff. The turkey sticking its head through the slats on the fence, and we had to put a board there and block it. That way, you couldn't reach over to get to them. But yeah. Do that over your. Oh yeah, the fish will love eating that too. Yeah.
That's the third phase. So if you've ever seen Bill Mollison's Permaculture 1 textbook, you feed the rotted meat larvae to the chickens. The chicken coop is over top of your fish pond, and the chickens' droppings fall into the fish pond, and that's what the fish eat.
And then the bottom of the fish pond, you have it tapered to bottom to go to a pump, and you pump that out, and you use
On your
that
garden.
water to for your hydroponic setup, where you have all the roots from the watercress, the water lettuces, and all that stuff. And so by the time it gets through there, all that poo's gone, and you got fresh water going back into the pond.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm mad at you, Tammy Harder.
Oh, unfair.
You're totally unfair.
I'm almost making my own. There's my vanilla. This is vanilla week 3.
Get going up to a little bit bigger stuff, from chickens and birds and stuff. You got the you do have the dwarf goats. You got the miniature pigs. Depending on your area, whether you are in city limits or whether the city has anything against it, there are certain things you can do. Here where we're at in our city, the ordinance is, I'm trying to remember, I think it's 3 horses or cows per acre.
We can only have 1 per every 2 acres here. 1 horse for every 2 acres.
7 to 14. I mean, you got good. It goes down to goats and pigs. It was 7 pigs per acre. But Brandon had 14 because he was leasing the property across part of the property across the street, and nobody really cared since he kept it nice and free smelling for his 3 neighbors, and they didn't complain because they were buying pigs from him. Yeah, at slaughter time.
Yeah,
they didn't
at a
care.
nice price.
Yeah. I just lost what I was going. Okay. Yeah. So you got to check with your. We had 7 pigs, 14 goats, 14 sheep per acre. Unless you're doing rotation on your acreage, and you can show that it's going around and there's no smell.
Yeah.
So, but right now I only know of 4 people that were raising either pigs, goats, or sheep in town. And so we got to figure out what we want to raise across the street there. The chicken thing is, so long as your neighbors don't complain about roosters crowing, they really don't come down on you for the number of chickens you have. But I think it's it's like 2 dozen chickens per acre. And to me, it's like, wow, that's a little low. Because even when we were in living on a quarter acre, we had like 36 chickens, and there was no smell, and everything's taken care of. Oh, doves. Yeah, some people raise doves. Yeah, can't have a rooster. Yeah, some of them say you have a chicken, you can't have a rooster. There is supposedly a rooster. Supposedly there is a breed that the rooster almost never crows, or very seldom crows, and the other one where it's a quiet crow. That's not like a and everybody around the block falls out of their bed. Let's see. I'm gonna go back and take that. Okay. Alpacas are considered the same as horses in our city, but in the county, there's no limit in the county. Once you're in the county, there's no limit. Alpacas, horses, cows, donkeys, That's what I forgot to put on the list. Donkeys.
I had the
Mules.
cutest little miniature donkey once. It was gated. My daughter rode it. It was broke to road and drive. It was only 2 feet high.
Now, this may offend some people, but you got to realize back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, it was another animal here. I mean, not animal, but animal as far as society back then. Las Vegas had served a I'm gonna get the right word here for you guys. Exotic steaks, mule steaks. And there was, with all the wild horses in southern Nevada, northern Arizona, and southern California, there were interbreeding between all the donkeys and horses. There were lots of mules out there, lots of mules. And it was like, you don't need a permit to hunt mules. No, just go out and get them. And
Yeah.
my dad, for, in between rodeo stints, was supplying the Sahara, the Fremont, trying to remember the other two, with mules. Basically, he'd bring the mules into town. The casinos had hotels had a butcher shop, that they had contracts with, and you just take it to the butcher. You would call up, say, all right, who wants it? You take it to the butcher shop. Okay, these two are for the Sahara. This one's for the Fremont. This one's for the And he sold mule for him, and he said mule steaks are almost better than cow steaks.
Well, in the Middle Ages, when they would be under siege from another, the castle, they would bring those animals in because they ate their horses. And in Europe, it's still considered a delicacy.
Yeah.
I have not. That's one thing I've never been so redneck that I've ever tried. Those are not on my redneck list. Believe it or not, Tammy has not had horse or donkey or mule.
I'm trying to remember who it was.
Or zebra.
One of the guys I worked with, he's a naturalized citizen, as is his wife. They were both born in Hong Kong. So they were British citizens when they were born.
Yes.
It was under British rule. And they can't, so they're naturalized U.S. citizens, but they were able to maintain their Hong Kong passports and stuff even after the Chinese took it back over. But he goes over there. We had our favorite food, slow dog. Slow dog. Yeah, he goes, yeah. If a dog's slow in the street, man, it winds up at one of the restaurants. But yeah, that's one thing I've never had either.
Yeah, me either. Never been that redneck either. Nor have I ever traveled to one of those countries.
Yeah.
Where that's allowed. I don't think that's one I probably think I emotionally could not do.
Yeah. But as far as every let me put this back up here. So technically, everything here is edible. Although I would have a real hard time with the horses. I'd rather ride a horse than eat it. And I froze. But other ones on here, the alpacas, they eat them too, but they generally keep them like sheep. They they want them for the wool.
Yeah.
And or as DJ Arms of Arms Family Homestead, they're my donkey poodles.
Donkey poodles.
Because then when they buzz cut them up and they look like poodles.
Yep.
when they do it. So yeah, depending on your area, you got to, you know, your area as far as where you live, and then your area of how much land you have. If you want livestock, you got to figure out, you know, what is going to be worth your time, because some of these takes time. You're going to spend time out there. Some of them is like, all right, how much of a hassle are they going to be? Are the ducks and the geese going to be getting into the garden and tearing up the garden, where sometimes the chickens will just go in, they won't go after the garden, they'll just go after the bugs in the garden.
Yeah.
Of course, it would be really cool if you had the type of ducks that they have in China that are raised to go after bugs and leave the plants alone. I've seen some videos. They could bring out try to open up, and all these ducks, and they start just going through the big old field, drive the truck around to the other side, and they get to the other side, back up in the truck.
That's training. I mean, there are breeds that are better at doing that naturally, but a lot of that is training too.
Yeah. And of course, when you're on your third generation of them all there together, the older ones are teaching the newer ones. They go, "Oh, I better do what they're doing."
Yeah. Yeah.
Diana too just came in on your side.
Hi.
And so, you know, you got, the animals you want, birds with goats, quails, whatever. Oh, goats, no goats, forget goats. Quail, geese, ducks, turkeys, chickens. Are they going to destroy the vegetation in your garden or not? One of the things my wife did do research on is that if the chickens are fed enough, you can have what's called a chicken garden. You have a couple chickens out that go out there, and the size of the garden to the number of chickens means there's enough bugs out there that chickens don't go after the vegetation. Because chickens are raptors. They'd rather go after the insects.
Yes. Even when they're digging up the ground, they're digging up for the insects in the ground.
On your side.
Thanks, Louis.
Remember, for 10 months over there. And all right, Tibor, take it easy. And so you got to look at, all right. So ducks tear up a lot of stuff, from what I understand. And from my sister, when she had ducks, she had ducks for a year and a half. She goes, never again. My wife had geese at their place. I don't think the geese really got into the garden too much because there was so much other open area. And, you know,
I raise geese because I call them my guard geese.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know why. Geese do not have teeth, okay, people? But grown men who are not terrified of your Doberman, Pinscher, Pit Bull, Guardian livestock dog are absolutely terrified of more than two geese coming at them at once. Those geese, when your car hits the end of my driveway, those guardian geese are going to go off. They're going to go off loud, and they're not going to stop till that intruder leaves. And if the intruder comes anywhere near them, they will chase them, and it will terrify the daylights out of grown men who should know these things do not have teeth.
A geese, whatever, they're coming down low, and all of a sudden the head comes up and the wings come out. It's like, oh crap! And they start beating on you with the wings and biting you.
And they pinch. I mean, there's a good. They pinch. They twist. Like, you know, they're giving you a Charlie horse, like, you know, yeah. But I mean, they're not going to, like, you know, permanently damage you. But I'll tell you, I have had there was a couple years where whenever I saw somebody posting that they wanted to get rid of their geese, I took the geese.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's very cheap alarm system.
And if you happen to have a stream or then
don't get geese. Then do not get geese. Because they'll be down the river to the next property.
Well, what I'm saying is, if you have a little stream, not a river, just a little stream that just barely
If
flows.
the water moves, they will get in it and they will not come back.
But with a pond on it,
A pond, yeah.
with a pond, so you got the little stream coming in, fills the pond up, a little trickle going out.
They'll get in it and go, bye-bye, wave goodbye.
All right, what I'm talking about is because what happened on this at Diablo Valley College, they had a big pond, concrete around it, had water coming in, water going out, and the geese stayed there. Some of the geese, there would be geese that come in, stop, feed, and fly on. The others would go, bye, suckers. Because the geese, of course, with the college students, they are always feeding the geese. Plus, there would be lily pads and I forget what watercress and stuff growing up in the pond. Oh man, you can tell when it's I don't know what the season was, but all of a sudden the geese would go out there and eat all the bottoms off the plants, all the roots, and then about 8-10 weeks later, they get nice and all the geese go in and eat the bottoms off all the plants.
Yep.
And Tammy Harder jumped over and is double timing on both sides too.
Well, here's the problem with Cornish hens. Cornish hens are a crossbreed. They're not an actual breed.
Yeah.
So you would have to buy them. Because
that's what my daughter does. She gets the white Cornish cross from the grain mill down here, and they didn't get them the last time. They just decided just to get a whole bunch of Rhode Island Reds this last time, and they take longer to grow out. They take longer to grow out, but then they get a bunch of eggs from the Rhode Island Reds for the first year or two, and then they harvest the Rhode Island Reds. All right, Wayne, you take care too. Yeah, it's getting that time to wrap it up here. So, however much land you have, and how much time you have to spend with the livestock is going to dictate what livestock is going to be easier for you to get. Horses, for what you get, what you get out of them, are expensive, very expensive. But if I were to find that lottery ticket laying on the ground and be able to afford to get several horses, and
do you know how many years I drove cars that shouldn't have been on the road so that I could afford to keep my horses?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, my sister used to raise horses. They used to breed Arabians here in the United States.
Me too.
And so the horses, unless you're using it, but if I could find that winning lottery ticket, I would have quarter horses, I would have Shetland ponies, and I would have a couple others, because I would start the kids out on the Shetlands.
No.
Oh, our neighbor across the street did
it. Do you know what ponies are? Ponies are what you buy your kids to make them hate horses for the rest of their lives.
No, ponies are what you buy your kids to get the kids into the rodeo.
No, yeah.
But
I had one pony I trusted with kids. One.
Yeah. The neighbors across the street in California, they got 4 Shetlands out there, or similar breed. And when his kids were young, they rode them. They'd saddle them up and ride those ponies around. Oh, when they got bigger, then they bought bigger horses.
Yeah, I've read Shetland ponies too. I even had a Shetland pony given to me. You know why? Because it was a miserable little animal. They are so mean. Yeah. They're mean to their riders.
But then I would so I'd start off with something small for the boys to get on. I don't want them to learn riding sheep, but hey, that's always a possibility there too. Put a saddle on the sheep, but and to work them up to what's the one? Oh shoot, it's smaller than a quarter horse.
Quarter pony.
No. It's just Morgan. A Morgan. The Morgan
You
horse.
really don't want these kids to ever want to ride.
Oh, we had a Morgan. It was great. I could crawl around that thing and it would make sure it wouldn't step on me.
I bought a Morgan once at an auction sale.
Yeah. Well, see,
she was my only Morgan. I always wanted a Morgan because, you know, Joe Morgan and the whole story of Morgans. So I bought her. For a while I was buying horses at auction, rehabbing them, and then finding them good homes.
Yeah. Well,
I was sort of a rescue.
Yeah,
I was buying them before the meat buyer could get a hold of them.
Yeah, my dad was raised the horses. He was top 10 rodeo for 10 years. Then he met my mom and dropped out of the rodeo, and I came along 9 months later. But the Morgan we had was, you know, it was a dreamboat. However, the Appaloosa my mom had,
oh no. Oh, my teeth hurt just thinking about that.
That Appaloosa, nobody could ride it. Nobody could get on its back other than me. And that was only when I was standing on the fence. It would come up to me. I lay on it and I'd rub its back. I wouldn't get all the way out. I just rub its back. Anybody else get on it would do one of two things. It would be like a rodeo star, or it would just kind of walk out in the middle of the corral, look at you, and sit down. Yep. And get back so you couldn't, you know, fall off. You had to fall off. You couldn't. There's no way you could stay in that saddle. But
the lady where my kids did lessons had an Appy, and she'd put everybody on it that was new because it was a dead broke, really good horse. But it only had 2 gaits, really super slow, or your teeth are going to fall out of your head rough. And that was the trot. At that trot, you just about lost your teeth. You felt like you were riding a jackhammer.
But quarter horses, they breed quarter horses with the Appies for the show workhorses. Prince Claudette was a big one back, 40 years ago. And back in Pennsylvania there. I actually got to go and meet him and stuff. But my dad, would used to breed quarter horses with Appaloosas, break them, train them, sell them.
Yeah.
But
here, the only thing you can show, it's quarter horse country. If you have something besides a quarter horse, your kids aren't going to place.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be about the horse. It's supposed to be about the kids, especially in 4-H. But here, if you don't have a quarter horse, you're not going to place.
Yeah.
And we were crazy Appy people, or crazy Arab people. So.
Yeah. Pinnos. It was Pinnos. Wait, that's second. Here's the first guy. The horses. Pinnos were quarter horses and Arabians. Now, my sister's Arabian stud, I can't remember its name. That was a biter.
I would love to know its name. I'm really into a lot of quarter horse genealogy and things. So you'll have to figure it out.
Yeah.
I raised some really famous
This is a purebred Arabian.
Mm-hmm.
And
I really got into it. I actually had a grand of a very famous line. I went all the way down to Indiana and got it. And it was actually through that famous Arab on its papers, but I didn't breed her. I should have. And then I had a granddaughter out of one who stood at MSU, who was very famous too.
Yeah, this horse was a biter. I mean, it bite anything but the mare it was being bred to.
Yeah. And
it bit me once. Once. It would not come near me again after that. So I turned around, grabbed hold of its head, and I bit down on its ear so hard it just dropped to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nasty taste.
Worth it though. You didn't have to worry about it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That horse never. It bit me once. It tried to bite my dad once. My dad had a 2x4 in his hand.
The guy in Indiana I bought my horse from had some really famous horses. He used to sell the carriage horses to the Barnum and Bailey Circus. So his Arabs had the swan necks. Some of them. Yeah. He went down, I went down there and he was just an amazing man. And he taught me so much on the 2 times I got to tour his barn. I learned more about Arabs than I did from all the books I read.
No. Oh. Okay. Rabbits. We haven't really talked much about rabbits.
I have raised the little white devils with the red eyes, New Zealand's. When people tell you the best ones to get are the New Zealand whites, I'm here to tell you, if you want to get a New Zealand, get it in any color but white. Do not get the white ones with the red eyes. Those are little demons. And if you've seen Monty Python, that is exactly what they will do to you. Don't get them. They're not fuzzy. They're not cute. They are not sweet. They are not appropriate for children.
The killer rabbit.
For me, I prefer the silver foxes. I really enjoyed raising those. I also did the red New Zealands for a while. I really enjoyed those. I've done the Californians. And I've done the Flemish Giant. If you want to get a rabbit for a kid to enjoy, that's fluffy, that's really, get the Flemish Giants. I think they are the best. They're the biggest of the ones I've mentioned, but they are the best ones for children.
Being a pet.
For a pet. If you want rabbit for fur, of course, get the Angora. There's, 3 different kinds. I have had the French. I have not had the English much, but I really did enjoy my French Angoras. I had one that was trained like a lap dog. I could let it loose in the yard and it would come to its name. And it would come up to me and, it was wonderful. And then you can also use that fur then to spin. But no, do not get the white ones with the red eyes. Those are not pets for children. Before you get one of those, watch Monty Python. And then you'll understand that you will never approach that cage without large gloves. And that's if you birth them in your rabbitry and raise them from birth, they're still going to attack you. They're just not the friendliest things. But for me, I raise the silver fox.
Was the Monty
I've also
Python
had
and
English lops.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Yep. I've also raised like the English lops with the big long-eared bunnies and stuff, but they're not meat rabbits. I've also had the Dutch. The Dutch are supposed to be, miniature meat rabbits. There's just not enough on it to be worth it. Even if you were just like a single person wanting one meal, it's not worth it to raise the Dutch. You just don't get enough meat from it. And that's my personal biased opinion. I'm sure there'll be a million people saying I'm all wrong about my assessment of rabbits. But
I know if my daughter was raising rabbit, and the last year they did it, rabbits were getting out. They weren't taking care of the cages right, and the grandsons were over there opening the cages as well.
Yeah.
And let me see.
You got to protect them from animals reaching up underneath, like raccoons and things. I don't have any. Right now, I like my summers. I spend 3 separate different weeks away from home. So the only thing I can have is a cat that can be fed and watered for a week and left to its own devices. But throughout the years, at different times, I've tried all sorts of things.
I'm just trying something here. And how bad the killer rabbit is from Monty Python is there's a card game out called Flux. And there's Pirate Flux. There's this Flux. There's Monty Python Flux. And this is the card for Monty Python Flux. Killer rabbit. Creature, rabbit. Target a player, flip a coin. If heads, then the target player takes 19 damage.
Mm-hmm.
If tails, then the target player gets to search his or her library for the holy hand grenade of Antioch to kill the rabbit.
Yes. See, Monty Python actually raised those rabbits. He knows.
Yeah.
He knows.
Yeah. But yeah. Yes, they got tired of. They were harvesting the rabbits. They got tired of dealing with it and stuff, and so they're not raising rabbits anymore. But the problem was they didn't do it right to begin with. Didn't set up a good cage system, and they just kind of went in it rinky dink. They bought a used cage. They had some other cages. The cages weren't really strong and sturdy, and couldn't keep the grandkids out, which meant the rabbits got out.
A trio of rabbits, though, which is one male and two females, if you're breeding them, can provide a large portion of the meat that a family of 4 eats in a year.
Yeah.
If you're breeding them on a regular schedule.
Yeah. The problem of rabbit is it's very lean.
You're not eating just rabbit, though. The only way that is ever a problem is if the only thing you're eating for weeks at a time is rabbit.
Yeah.
All right. Not if you're having rabbit like once a week as your main protein source. So.
So you need to. So you don't have that problem. Of course, if you buy the bucket of lard or bucket of tallow from Amazon or from the local butcher shop
and
you
fry it
up
like fried chicken. Yeah.
Yeah.
But most of the time, most of the time you're not even if you're eating it as your primary meat source, it's sort of like one of those urban myths that has a grain of truth to it, but it's really not true.
Yeah, you would have to be eating it significantly and not eating anything else to bring the other fats
or drinking anything else. I mean, let's be honest, we get a lot of fat from the soda in our diet too.
It's been 5 years since I've had a soda.
Wow.
Yeah. And every time I see the Flying Cauldron butterscotch beer in the store, it's like, no, I can't have that. I can't have that. I can't have that. That is so good. Anyways, let's see here. So anyways, folks, last words. Yeah. So make sure you can handle it. Property size, how, just lost the word. How maintenance heavy are the animal you want to get? What's the cost of raising the animal? What's the benefit? So your benefit versus cost versus maintenance versus headaches versus everything on it to figure out, what livestock is best for you.
Get a mentor. Don't just go out and buy an animal. Take somebody who, horses are a number one thing. There are 3 kinds of horse people, one of which is called a horse trader. You have to watch out for those in the horse world. So don't just go out and buy a horse. Take a mentor that knows what they're doing, because there's a lot of people out there that will take advantage of rookies and green people. So, and the same with other animals. Make sure that you have them inspected by a vet before you buy them.
Yeah. And if you're getting the turkeys or whatever from that 3-letter acronym supply store that deals with farm implements and stuff as well. Sometimes they got good stuff. Sometimes they, the one batch my daughter got, most of them died, and so they went back to the local millhead when they sell them. Yeah. The only reason they went down to the supply place and in Chubbuck down there was because locally no one had any chicks.
Yeah.
That
You
year.
know, and there is a learning curve. So unfortunately, when you're getting into livestock, there is a huge learning curve. If you don't have a mentor, you're going to have a lot of disappointment and death. So making sure that you have a mentor for all of this is really important.
Yeah. I know here there are several Facebook pages about hobby farms and for chickens, for rabbits, or different ones. So you can, start checking those out too first. You'll get some information there.
But
You may find someone local who will be your mentor.
But unfortunately, those are only as good as the people who are posting, and there are so many people who are not good posting.
Yeah.
So you really have to be able to wade through some of that. Get those books by Story Publishing so that you know before, and do your research before you buy.
Also, county fairs.
Yes, the Friday night auction at the county fair, those animals have been vetted. Those animals have been very well cared for. I know our county fair, the Saturday that after, when everybody's going home, all of the rabbits are $5 a piece.
Yeah.
So
Also, there's also the Future Farmers of America 4-H clubs. Those can be a resource for you too.
yeah, I'm not a big fan of 4-H. I know I'm a member of the 4-H and I'm in a 4-H club now, but in the county the county I'm in now is excellent. The county I was in before was not so good. So you got to be careful of that too, and join a 4-H club that is appropriate to the animal you want to raise,
Yeah. All right. So wrapping this up here, tomorrow on Gray Man Prepping, the topic is after rule of law is gone, what are your plans? I may or may not do a midday live out in the garden. I was getting a lot of stuff done, hoeing weeds and stuff, but if I do it live, it'll be planting pumpkins, watermelons, squash. It'll be tomatoes, lots of tomatoes. It'll be a planting video out there actually when I'm working in the yard, and I'll probably have grandsons over helping me. So it'll be a cute live stream tomorrow if I do it. Monday, I'm back here on Camppatton Family Compound. We're going to be talking about canning apple juice. That's where we're going to start. we may start deviating as questions come up in the side chat and as we think about things as well. Tuesday on Gray Man Prepping, Tactical Tuesday, the topic was requested to be brought back again. It is being a gray man. What does it mean? And so we'll be talking about that stuff. Thursday night is the Midnight Ride with Gray Man Prepping. Open topics. We go through a bunch of the news items and stuff. Speaking of which, if you come across an interesting news thing that you think is, holy crap, they need to talk about this, go ahead. Emails in the bottom of all my videos. Email me a copy of the link to that news article. Kaylin Strain's been sending me a bunch. Suzanne Galay's been sending me a bunch. Other people send me one now and then, and we address those. Otherwise, I'm going to be picking on California most of the night because I get a lot of interesting stuff from the news articles in California. Next Friday, here on Friday Night on the Homestead, soil amendments is the topic. So we're going to be talking about soil amendments next Friday. All right. And with that, everyone, plant a garden. See y'all later.